Well, hello and welcome, everybody, wherever you may be. This is Tom Kelly, and the show is Real Estate Today, right here on the new KIRO Radio Weekends, 97.3 KIRO FM. Every Sunday morning at 9, we take your questions, comments, and concerns about housing, home loans, tax, everything under your roof. In fact, if you borrow against your roof, this is the place to call. Today, how to price, how to market atypical homes. Not all homes are the same cookie cutter, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a cul-de-sac. What do you do if you have an atypical home? With us today is Wes Jones. He's a specialist in marketing atypical homes, and we'll be talking with Wes for about the next hour about some of the best ways to contact potential buyers. If you've got a home that's a little bit different, this is a great day to call. 1-888-973-KIRO. That's 1-888-973-5476. Or go to our websites, mynorthwest.com, KIROradio.com, and we can take your question online right now. My guest is Wes Jones. He's in the studio with us today. We thank him for his time. You're really listing a castle, Wes, or is this a house that just looks like a castle? How did this seller come and find you?
That is a really good question, Tom. So that's a really good question, and it is indeed a real castle. And
it's not a front on it. It's not a false front or a faux front.
No, it's not like a little cardboard cutout or something that looks a little cheesy. And I'll be honest with you, when this gentleman first contacted me, that's where my mind went. It's like, okay, what is really going on? And I started talking to him, and he started telling me more. And he's like, no, this is the real deal. I can tell you're a little bit skeptical. And he sent me to some YouTube that he had done. And he started talking about being on HGTV about 10 years ago. I think there was a show called Look What I Did, Look What I Built, and he was featured. And I looked it up, and I was like, okay, this looks like the real deal, and I'm going to come see you. And it is a legit castle that this gentleman built. And for those of you that are listening at home or, have a cell phone or anything in front of them, go to www.thedenningcastle.com. Denning is spelled Denning. So you can take a look at this thing, and you can see that it's the real deal. And the background is, that was one of my first questions. It was like, how did you come up with this? He's
why did this gentleman build it in the first place?
This was his dream. This was his lifelong dream. And I asked him, and he said, hey, when other kids were playing cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, I was playing with knights. And he told me that he is a knight. He's not a king. And this was his lifelong dream. And he is a retired Tacoma firefighter. And once he retired, he started building this in the late 80s, and he finished in 1993. And this is done like a castle. It's not a house that looks like one. And in the industry, we'll talk about something being built well, built like a battleship, built like a castle. This one's built like a castle. It's probably overbuilt, for what he has. It's,
Wes, is this
tremendous.
Gentleman, is he an international traveler? Did he travel down the Rhine and look at a variety of places? Is he a dreamer, or did he have this in mind, how it was going to be, as you say, when he was a youngster?
All of the above.
Okay.
It's a little bit of each one of them. He's told me that it is inspired by over 200 different visits.
Wow.
Personal visits to castles, as well as the Walt Disney Castle. And it's pretty interesting. If you go to the website, the Denning Castle, I've even got some media there, and it shows the first picture that he did. He drew it on a bar napkin. And it actually ended up being very close. The end product ended up being very close, to what he envisioned. So, I think a bit of a dreamer, but I love it. I mean, this guy lived his dream. How many of us think about doing something and then regret not doing it later? And this guy's got no regrets.
This is on the market. You're marketing it. What's the asking number? What's the listing price? And will there be some open houses coming up?
The listing price is $725,000. Now,
it's a big number for a lot of people.
It's a big number for a lot of people, but this is a big property, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime property. I mean, this is not just a castle. It's a castle that's on 20 acres. So it's super secluded. It is gated. It has an outbuilding that's a 3-car garage, and shop. It's got a little medieval village. This is one of a kind. So, we're listed there. We're listed there at $725,000.
Let's talk a little bit about atypical properties in general, if you would, Wes. There's atypical properties are hard to price. How did you come up with the $725,000 for this? And is there a way of earmarking a number for the property and then adding on the acreage? How do you blend it together to come up with the final number?
That's a really good question. I'm going to go back real quick to as far as the open houses. I forgot to mention this castle is decked out with I don't know, maybe $100,000 worth of medieval paraphernalia and weaponry, and it is on the wall, and it is coming with the property. There's only a couple of things that he's going to take with him. So as far as open to the public, we're doing this by appointment only, just simply for safety reason. This isn't a museum, but if somebody has a serious interest, call me. Call their real estate agent, and we'll do a private tour. In a couple of weeks for the brokerage community, we're going to do a little event for them. But going back to pricing, I mean, there's not a lot of castles here anywhere in Washington State.
No comparable sales.
There's been some recent castle sales in recent years, but I mean, we're talking different counties, and each one is truly unique. So what do you do when you're pricing something like that? Oh gosh, we stand back and we throw a dart against the wall and kind of pick one. Do you
put a number on the acreage though? I mean, you can come up with a certain number of dollars that acres are selling for in the area.
We can, and what you got to do, because there's no castles to compare this to, what you got to do is you got to take a look at, what's comparable real estate selling for in the area? What is some of the luxury stuff in the area selling for, as far with acreage, with similar square footage, with the outbuildings? You factor in the uniqueness, and then you get pretty close. And sometimes when you have a unique property like this, you just don't know what that market's going to be. You take your best guess. On this one, I got an appraiser involved, and I do that with a lot of my properties. So we got an appraiser involved. This is the number that we came up with, and we're getting really good feedback so far.
We're going to take a short commercial break and come back with Wes Jones and talk more about marketing atypical properties. If you've got a log home, if you've got a swimming pool, if you've got a home on acreage, this is a great day to call. 1-888-973-KIRO. That's 1-888-973-5476. The websites, mynorthwest.com, KIROradio.com. Make your comment right now online. The show's Real Estate Today. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Real Estate Today, your headquarters for home and loan questions every week. My name is Tom Kelly. I write about homes and loans every day, and you can find some of that content on our website. Go to mynorthwest.com, scroll on down to real estate. We've got some interesting real estate notes there, also some listings in the area. Check it out, mynorthwest.com, scroll on down to real estate. My guest is Wes Jones. He's an expert in marketing atypical properties, special properties, creative properties. He's got a castle listed. He's quite excited about it. On acres. If you want to be a castle lord, if you wanted to always own a castle, this is a good time to get a hold of Wes, and he can be reached at 425-577-9814. Get your pencil ready, 425-577-9814. Wes, there's a lot of interesting properties out there that don't fit the niche. Log homes, swimming pools. How do you arrive at a price for these types of properties? I mean, we've talked about the castle and what you did, but there's some swimming pools out there. They're not all on acreage. They're not on cul-de-sacs. They're tough to take care of. How do you price a different home?
Every home is unique, and especially when you come to a unique property, you've got to take a look at it from a broad view. And you've mentioned swimming pools a couple of times. If you love a swimming pool, then that might be worth something to you. It might be worth more. But we're up here in the Northwest. We've got 2 months at best out of the year that you can, take care of, that you can really utilize those things. So for a lot of people, it's actually not a positive. It potentially could be a negative. So when you look at these unique properties, they're obviously very, very special to the homeowner. But the more unique you get, it doesn't always mean the more expensive that it goes, because the more unique you get, typically the smaller the buyer pool that you get to draw from. But like I was saying earlier, you just got to take a look at it. You're looking at the square footage. You're taking a look at the utility. What can you do with this property? And you're trying to do your best to compare it to other properties of similar size in the area. And then you have to factor up, or you have to factor down, based on the uniqueness. Because although something is very special to you, that may not translate into dollars for the next buyer.
Right. Everybody has something that they like, and you cannot tell somebody what it's worth to them. What about appraisal reviews, comps, and do you tell a buyer, a potential client of yours, how you felt about it yourself? I mean, is there a gut feel? Is there a gut quotient in this thing as well?
Absolutely. There's absolutely a gut feel behind it. I mean, pricing, it's not an exact science. It's part math, and I would say the other part is gut feel based on how you're feeling about things, the uniqueness of the property. What's it worth to the seller to move on?
Right.
And although that doesn't factor maybe in the final sales price, because a buyer might not agree with the same thing that a seller does, but at the end of the day, I don't set the price of a home. It's not my asset to sell. It's my client's asset to sell. What I do is I provide them with the best information possible for them to make a decision. Now, if they come back with something that's wildly different than what I am thinking, then we have to have a conversation on if we're going to work together or not. But even the more cookie cutter stuff that I do, I get an appraiser involved. I don't do an appraisal if we don't need one, but I get an appraiser involved for a third-party opinion. For a unique one, we did a full-blown appraisal review, on this. So that's something that's available. People can take a look at it. But at the end of the day, it was a combination of that, how we feel about the market, and then kind of the gut feel and need of the seller.
There's a lot of times, Wes, where the appraiser may be from out of the area, and when a seller gets a number, he or she isn't very happy with it. But when it comes to a specific property, it doesn't really mean as much because everybody's going to be looking at the creativity in a different way. In your experience, are appraisers still a little bit off, or are they are more appraisers being hired within the area to do the average home appraisal? Are we happier with appraisers these days?
I think we are less happy with appraisers, and I don't fault appraisers. Appraising is a tough gig, and we have less appraisers in the market today. Appraisers are leaving the industry. They're not coming to the industry right now. Their costs are going up. Their fees are being pushed down, and they are backed up. It's kind of a thankless job. The amount of hours that it takes to become an appraiser, you have to have a college degree. You have to apprentice for 2 years. You have to have thousands of hours under an appraiser just to become an appraiser, to make a fraction of what a real estate agent does, and then still get beat up by both the banks and real estate agents. So appraisers get a bad rap, but it's part of the industry, that is causing this. I think that they should get paid more for what they do. And at the same time, I wish real estate agents had to go through the same amount of training, because right now our barrier for entry is very, very low to become an agent, and I think it should be more like an appraiser. But you're right, there are fewer appraisers out there, and they have to go out of area simply out of need because the banks are asking them to do it. When we're talking about pricing a house, that's to gauge where it could go. At the end of the day, the only appraisal that matters is the one that the buyer's lender is going to do. That's
Right.
the only thing that matters if they're going to finance it.
I agree with you on education. I think more education in everything is great. In fact, years ago when I got my real estate license, you did not have to have any clock hours to buy or list property in the state of Washington. You could have your name on a broker's door, and as long as you are employed, you had to have absolutely no education to do the job that you were doing. And thank goodness nowadays that's different. Let's talk a little bit about creativity and how to get cranked up for a creative home. Do you start making notes? Do you make copy? Do you write a couple of paragraphs that it's really going to be bright and different from the normal listings that you'll do? Some of the creative things you do?
Yeah, definitely. When this opportunity came up, I think most people would have shied away from it. Geez, this thing is going to be big. I don't know how long this is going to take to sell. And I just looked at this as a amazing opportunity. You know, I've personally sold over about 700 homes. I've overseen 1,000 total. I may never, ever get another castle.
Right.
And when I saw how well this thing was done, I knew that this was going to be a gold mine for the media if this was approached the right way. So I am a real estate agent. I am not a professional writer. And this castle deserved something different. So I did a couple of things that I haven't done before that I now have in my new tool belt to use on other properties. One, I hired a professional copywriter. He did the MLS remarks, and he also did every single picture, captioned them. I just felt that it really should have, the language should really go along with the theme of the property and the castle feel. And I think it turned out really well. And if you want to see some more of that, it's check it out again, www.thedenningcastle.com. Denning, D-E-N-N-I-N-G. So we started with a copywriter, and then I started making calls to local media. And that was really, really well received. And then when I figured out that, hey, we had something here, I actually went out and hired somebody to continue to help me with PR, to continue to push this story out. But
you can't do that for every creative property. I mean, that'd be spending a lot of money and the time involved. I mean, a lot of people would look at this and say, this is going to be a long time to get this thing moving. You know, my budget, I'm not going to be able to do all of this with my monthly budget. I mean, that can be difficult.
Yeah, it can be difficult, and I'm in the marketing of this more than most listings, but it's paying off. And, you know, that's why you just got to be really careful about who you're buying. Not every real estate agent is created equal, and not every agent has the staying power to take on a property like this. It's paid off. We were on the front page of the Tacoma News Tribune. We've been in the Puget Sound Business Journal. We've been on Curb Seattle, King 5, Seattle PI. It was picked up by Northwest Cable News, and I've seen that syndicated across the country.
Just because of the extra step that you take. We need to take a break for Chris Shaw on the news, and then we're going to come back and talk more with Wes Jones about how to get email blasts out there and how to really push your property. If you've got a creative property and unique property that won't just fly off the market like every other home in the Puget Sound, we definitely will have room for you. 1-888-973-KIRO. That's 1-888-973-5476. Or go to our websites, mynorthwest.com, KIROradio.com, and we can take your question, your comment online right after the news with Chris Shaw. This is Tom Kelly. The show's Real Estate Today. We'll be right back. If you have an idea for a future show, we'd love to hear from you. We'll get on an expert in that category, much like today's expert in marketing creative and different homes, Wes Jones. And you can get a hold of Wes during the week at 425-577-9814. Once again, Wes Jones, 425-577-9814. Wes, we were talking a little bit about social media. A lot of people are uncomfortable or unfamiliar with social media, especially older folks. But there is some merit into sending out some email blasts to specific people who might be interested in a specific category.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't consider emails social media because that's something that's been around for a little bit, but it's very effective in getting a property, especially a unique property, in front of somebody. So when I was talking to the owner of the castle, he basically told me, he's like, hey, listen, I'm looking for somebody that can do something special. I'm looking for somebody that can go the extra mile and get this in front of the people that we need to. So immediately, I'm just thinking of all the different ideas, but he told me he wanted this thing marketed up and down the West Coast. And I said, no problem. And the easiest way for me to do that is go through an email service that I use. Typically, I'm targeting homes within 10 miles of a property to get that out to the other real estate agent community. But I chose the entire real estate community of the West Coast on this one and sent out over 200,000 emails. And they basically got an email version of the denningcastle.com website in their inbox. That was really well received. I immediately restarted receiving phone calls from brokers in Oregon and California. They forwarded on to their clients, that have, maybe are into the lifestyle. And then I thought, okay, well, that seemed to work on the West Coast. Let's try the Northeast. So I hit New York, I hit Boston, I hit DC, same thing. And it's been wild how many people have viewed the website. I have had over 15,000 visitors go directly to the website. I've had over 10,000 people view the actual video that we did, and you can view that on the denningcastle.com. So it's been powerful, and that's not to mention all of the other media locations that this has been in. And anytime the media picks up the story of the castle, my link is buried at the bottom. So they're seeing the story, and they might not even be getting to the link. So I'm really proud of the amount of traffic that it's gotten.
Are there a bunch of castle specialist castle nuts out there? Are there castle groups, Wes, that you try to target? Maybe $1 million buyer clubs, castle clubs. When you want to target a specific area, are there websites and clubs that you go after?
Yeah, there really are, and that's when we can get into kind of the social media conversation. And some people might not be comfortable with that, but you got to listen to this because this is the future. And when you talk about drilling down to finding a specific buyer and getting a property or just a product in front of them, this is how you do it. Now, you mentioned $1 million clubs or whatever. I did also email all of the guys from $1 Million Listing, those shows that are really popular.
Right.
I actually heard back from 2 of them. And they said, hey, that's really cool. We're going to pass this on to a couple of people. So it's just networking. It's getting the word out. But back to the social media, this is powerful. Think about this. I don't know, Tom, what's the world population? Do you have any? Is it 8-9 million?
Well, there are 320 million people in the United States, approximately.
Right. And I'm not sure where we're at worldwide, probably 8 to 9 billion. But worldwide, there is about 1.7 billion people on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
That is a massive number. The data that they're collecting on us is also pretty scary. You can really drill down and get in front of somebody, through some of your specific interests based on what you have on social media. I'm going to give you an example. Okay. I went to a small college down in San Diego. It was the University of San Diego. Not to be confused with UCSD or SDSU.
The Toreros.
The Toreros, thank you. You get a high five after the show. I got a Facebook ad about a month ago, and I had wanted one of those bag toss games that you play down on the beach, you play in the backyard. They're advertising a University of San Diego bag toss game to me. I'm like, I've been looking for one of these for 3 years and, have never found one. I bought it immediately. And it's because they saw on Facebook that I liked, University of San Diego, was probably a member of a couple of different groups. Maybe it was that I played football down there too, sports enthusiast. They collected my data. They advertised directly to me. I clicked on the link. I bought that product. Now, you can advertise any type of product or any type of home using those same methods. It's called target marketing, through social media. They've got a lot of data out there on us. They've got geography. They have our, where we live here in Bellevue, in Washington, in King County, or from our last conversation, are you located in China? Are you located in Europe? They have all of that. They can drill it down to demographics. They can, age range, sex, income. And then here is the key. They can drill down our interests. So, I don't know, Tom, do you do any social media?
Well, a little bit. I have a couple of novels that I try and drive via social media, but there are people who you target because they're murder mystery readers and sports readers, and you look for clubs and you look for those types of groups.
Absolutely. So when you go and you like something, you like a page, you like KIRO 97.3, you like my Facebook page, you like the Renaissance Fair, here in Washington,
right,
that just went on. Those are what your interests are. So when you're asking about how can we really drill this down, how can we get in front of people who are living that lifestyle, that is the way that we can do it. So I actually know I know a girl who performs at the Renaissance Fair. I gave her a call. I'm like, hey, who's running this? And she put me in contact with her, and like, hey, we're really busy right now, but I want to talk to you guys later. So I'm like, okay, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start targeting the people with Facebook and Instagram ads that like the Renaissance Fair. And there's other clubs and groups. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands, believe it or not, locally that have expressed interest in that type of lifestyle, in that type of thing, whether it's Renaissance, whether it's knights, whether it's castles. Game of Thrones is really popular. It's kind of on the pop culture right now. We can put our website in front of them, and it's actually fairly inexpensive.
It's all about spreading the word to people who will be receiving and receptive to what you're trying to say. We need to take a break. We're going to come back with Wes Jones. We definitely will have room for some phone calls. 1-888-973-KIRO, 1-888-973-5476. The website's mynorthwest.com, KIROradio.com. Send along your comment, your question. We'll get to it right away. The show's Real Estate Today. We'll be right back. How to sell an atypical home. You got to use a little bit more interest and creativity to get your home out there to groups who want to receive what you have. There are interested buyers out there for a variety of homes, including a castle. Wes Jones, our guest, has been marketing a castle, and he's been doing it in very creative ways. You can do it as well with your creative home. We got a comment from Wally. He says, Tom, thanks for mentioning appraisers on your show. We do need to be paid more, just like teachers, but a lot of people do not understand all of the background we need to have to do our job. Thank you for knowing that we are underpaid, as I say. So are teachers, and I have two of them in my family. Wally, thanks for writing in. We're now going to go to the phone lines and speak with Helga. Hi, Helga.
Good morning.
What can we help you with?
Well, you might not. It might not be. I might not be the right caller for this. I just tuned in, and of course, my ears perked. So let me ask you. I have not started. Basically, have pushed it aside all those years. I have a piece of property on Bainbridge Island. It's a west view. It's slightly, quite a bit north, but of the Agate Pass Bridge. It is an embankment. The last time I checked years ago, it is buildable through the city of Bainbridge. I haven't checked if it still is. These things change sometimes. I have documentation of 1890 or so for the property. There used to be, we used to be able to pass other properties and go right to the end of the line where my property starts. Now neighbors through the years have contested the property rights, and if you could just give me some basic logical hints, if you like, on how I'm very ready to put this piece of property on the market. It's 110 feet waterfront, but it is just about 96% embankment.
So it's a high bank waterfront on Bainbridge, and you're going to want to check, as you mentioned, the easements that the neighbors have in and around and through your property. So in fact, I'm going to give you Wes Jones' phone number, and he can help you because we don't have enough time on the show to go through all the steps, but I will give you a few. But if you have your pencil ready,
I have
425-577-9814.
577. You're talking to Grandma here. 577-9814. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat that. 425-577-9814.
I got it. Thank you.
So before you get ready to list it, you'll get with your realtor lister, and they'll get a preliminary title report, which will show you all of the easements that are recorded over this property. So that'll give you a head start on exactly what you're going to need to know. If there are anything that are curtailing you from building on the property, you'll find that out from the city. But the listing agent, such as Wes or others, will be able to help you with that. And actually, Wes is right here, and he can mention some other things as well.
Oh gosh, I mean, Helga, we could really. Hi, how are you?
I am good.
That's great. Hey, we could spend a lot of time on here, and Tom and I have got about 3 minutes left on the show. But if you want to give me a call here, if you want to give me a call this afternoon, I'd love to chat with you more, and I can give you some ideas. Give me a call later this afternoon on that cell phone, and I'll talk to you then.
Thank you, Helga, for the call.
Thank you, Wes. Won't take your time anymore.
Mm-hmm. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, Wes, in the little time we got left, let's talk a little bit about targeting marketing locally. And let's just do bullets here because we're on the run.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the stuff, not everybody's got a castle. In fact, most people don't have a castle. But some of the other unique properties that I'm coming across, a couple times a year, I'll end up selling an equestrian property.
Everybody's got a horse.
Absolutely.
Wants to have a horse.
Everybody wants to have a horse. So we can use the target marketing the same way. When we have an equestrian property, we can use social media to get in front of people who have demonstrated an interest in horse or horse properties. I've got this great property on acreage down in Eatonville. It's really an outdoorsman's dream. It's on about 30 acres. It's got trails, and we're targeting people who are interested in the outdoors and the hunting outdoors type lifestyle. When you've got something like a ski house up at Snoqualmie Pass or Crystal or Stevens, I mean, that's really easy. You're targeting people who have demonstrated an interest in skiing. I've also talked to another gentleman over the last year a couple times. He's got a private water ski lake. You want to talk about unique?
There you go.
Up in the north end, and that would also be something that we would be doing.
Gotta be a water skier.
Water skiing, wakeboarding, or just somebody who's interested, in waterfront. There are a ton of possibilities. You can get in front of these people. One of the questions I always ask somebody is, who do you think your ideal buyer is? And if they have a good idea of who their ideal buyer is, we can drill this down and we can get in front of those people.
Wes, what about baby boomers now? They had the most cash, and they were the biggest group, but a lot of them are pulling in the reins now. They're starting to retire. They want to buy a smaller yet nicer home. Are they prime targets for a unique home like a castle, or do you go someplace else?
It just depends what they're looking for. It could be a unique property. Maybe it's one of those, smaller container homes that we were talking about, off the air. For the most part, I'm seeing boomers just wanting to downsize, wanting to simplify. But by going down and by going and getting a smaller home, they're able to go really high end and just keep things really turnkey so they don't have to take care of things. So for the castle, no, I don't know if a baby boomer is the ideal market because this thing's on 20 acres and there is upkeep that comes along with it. So it just kind of depends. Now, if they live that lifestyle and that's something that they're interested, it absolutely could be. I think there's a couple different groups that could be really interested in a castle-type property. Obviously, you've got somebody who lives the lifestyle, somebody who's down there and interested with medieval times, with the Renaissance fairs. It could be somebody, it could be some rich guy who's just looking for a trophy property.
Right.
May only go there a couple times a year. How often does a castle become available? I really think, though, that this could have some commercial aspects to it as well. I think that this would be, I mean, he's had weddings there. This could be a wedding venue, events venue,
right.
tours.
People are buying barns just to have weddings in them.
Absolutely, and why not a castle? If a barn, why not a castle? This could make a really cool owner-occupied bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. I've also thought it could be a winery or a distillery's tasting room.
Check it out. Many thanks to Wes Jones. Get a hold of him during the week, 425-577-9814. Our time has just flown by on how to market creative homes. For producer and director Andrew Edsel, thanks for listening to Real Estate Today, where if we don't have the answer, we try and find